We are glad to be with you this morning and glad to be visiting with one of our leaders in Mississippi is Angela Turner Ford, senator from this part of the state, District 16. She represents part of Clay, Lowndes, Noxubee, and Oktibbeha counties. She is chair of the Senate Drug Policy Committee and vice chair of the Executive Contingent Fund. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. Great to be here. Beautiful morning. Makes it a little easier to get out of bed when you walk out. Just that little bit of cool in the air.
It's perfect. It's a beautiful morning.
Absolutely is. I described earlier this morning this time of the year for the legislature as the off season, but I'm not sure that's entirely fair because I don't get the impression that that you, ladies and gentlemen, ever really stop working.
I think that's accurate. We may be able to enjoy maybe a month or so.
Okay.
But then this is the time where different conferences are meeting. We're meeting with constituents, and I think there are various committee groups that are assembling in the legislature. So we'll have to go to Jackson periodically to make sure that we're abreast of current issues and preparing for January.
So in your mind, what as we – and I don't want to scare you, but we're 5 months away from the new legislative session. In these 5 months, it feels like in the fall, get here, they go in a hurry. In your mind, what is important going into the 2025 session?
I think picking up where we left off in the 2024 session.
Mm-hmm.
There were some issues that we debated but did not make it across the finish line. One would be the expansion of Medicaid. Certainly there will be matters of budget that we'll have to consider. Various departments have various priorities. And each year, I think that we should just try to make sure that we lift up the needs of the community as well. So it's just a continuing process.
In terms of specifically what's on your plate, especially as chair of the Drug Policy Committee, what are the issues that you are focused on most right now?
Now, I would have to say that our focus to some extent depends on what's assigned to the committee. And
That's
so we
fair.
don't know what bills will be filed. But certainly there's the medical cannabis program. How is it performing? Are constituents' needs being met? What are the products that they're providing?
Yeah.
Also,
how is that program performing?
I think, I've heard that there are some concerns.
Yeah.
Maybe the potency of the product may not be what some people feel it should be. But I would say that that's an issue that's in progress.
They think it should be stronger or weaker?
I've heard that it should be stronger.
Yeah. Okay.
Who am I to say?
Good to know. Good to know. Certainly there were a lot of people that were for that. There were a lot of people that were against that. It is here. I would assume that it's here to stay. Are the issues that exist with that more on the grower, the producer side, the distributor side, the licensing side? Where do you see that the issues lie there?
I think it's the product itself. So I would say maybe the growers, the controls that are in place, if they're meeting the standards that have been set, are the standards realistic? So I think it's across the board.
Okay. And I interrupted you there. You were talking about some of the other things in terms of bills that get presented to you, but what else is kind of top of mind?
For me, I would say the ballot initiative, I would like to see that passed. I know that there's been some division between the House and Senate positions.
No, that never happens.
Oh, of course it does. And then the members have their own ideas, and so all of that has to be considered. And, what kind of product can we have that we can gain consensus?
Yeah, interesting stuff. Obviously, this is a time where eyes are maybe a little less on state politics and more on national politics. RNC had their convention a few weeks ago, DNC convention, night 4 coming up tonight. Tonight will be the night that we hear from Kamala Harris. How closely have you paid attention to the DNC this week?
I was glued to the television last night.
Yeah.
I plan to be tonight as well, but the rest of the week just kind of catching snippets as I could on social media. So.
What have you taken away?
I like the message. I'm hearing message of inclusivity, we the people, and I'm trying to make sure that economic needs are being met. So those are the messages that are resonating with me.
So we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I've heard those themes, right? I mean, whether you go back to Monday night or when Joe Biden spoke or Tuesday night when former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama respectively spoke, or even last night with Tim Walz on stage and Bill Clinton on stage, there was a lot of talk. Those themes were there about hope, inclusivity, unity, freedom, all of those things, but also a little light on substance in terms of actual policy and what they would actually do. Is that a fair criticism? Is that something that's concerning to you, that there's not enough, hey, when we get in office, if we win this election, this is what we are going to do and this is how we are going to do it?
I think that's a great comment, and I have noticed that that's an issue, but I think it's across the board. And it seems as though there's more focus placed on personalities as opposed to policy. And for those of us who are more concerned with the bottom line, what can we expect to see, I would like to hear more of those types of messages.
Yeah, I couldn't help but be intrigued with this behind-the-scenes whatever is going on with the Bidens, the Obamas, the Harris-Walz ticket. I just thought it was such an interesting look for Vice President Harris not to be there when the former president was speaking on Tuesday night. And, I mean, maybe it's a calculated decision, but it was still kind of a strange look.
I will say that is above my pay grade.
That's fair. That's just opinions here. We're kind of talking about it. But, yeah, I'm sure there was a political strategist that decided that was the best idea. We talked a little bit about the upcoming session. In terms of bills that maybe you're working on or that you want to see get to committee or get out of committee, where are you on that?
There are certain issues that just seem to trail from session to session.
Yeah.
One would be restoring the right to suffrage for those individuals who've lost it. I would prefer there be a more streamlined process, something more consistent.
Is that based on incarceration?
It is.
Okay.
It is, and so there are those individuals. If their legislation happens to make it across the finish line, good. But what are the consistent, I would say, set of criteria that we could implement? And an individual knows whether he or she would qualify, even now, before the session starts.
Yeah.
So if there's a way that we could have a process that makes sense, that people can understand, I think that's important.
Is there bipartisan support for an issue like that?
I believe so. There haven't been a lot of conversations about it, but what you tend to see is with some of those bills, members are concerned because it's not just Democrats who are filing those legislations for rights to restore suffrage. Yeah. So I think that there could be bipartisan support.
Okay. This area of the state that you serve, Clay, Lowndes, Noxubee, Oktibbeha counties, obviously there is a ton that is going on here. Economic growth, we visited with John Turner from 4 counties earlier. How does this continue? We're going to talk with Joe Max Higgins coming up later as well. Maybe let him continue to drive the bus on some of these economic projects. But there's so much good. You've got to be proud of the things that are happening here in your home district. I am. And, the link has been an integral part of the growth of the community. And I cannot imagine the bus moving forward without them at this point. They know how to raise the issues, the assets that we have here, as well as providing instruction, I would say, to the leaders as to what they can do differently to promote growth. Yeah. You going to be around for Prairie Arts? Hopefully. I'll be out of town. Oh, no. What a cool event, though, right? With so many vendors coming in from all over the state and all over the region and kind of a way to, I don't know, in some ways celebrate the end of the summer, get ready for that transition going into Labor Day weekend. It's just a really good thing for the community, right? Yes, 46 years. I mean, that's just, how about that? It's impressive. It really is. And what the Growth Alliance has done to continue that event has been awesome. Thank you so much for coming by this morning. Thank you. I appreciate your time and the invitation. Absolutely. Great to visit with you. Angela Turner Ford, Senator for District 16. She represents Clay, Lowndes, Noxubee, and Oktibbeha. Parts of all 4 of those counties. Not all 4 of them. That'd be a lot on your plate if it was all of those. Parts of those counties for District 16. We got more coming up with you. Deborah Mansfield is going to join us to start the 8 o'clock hour. I just shifted to the afternoon just for a second. The 8 o'clock hour. She's a board member at the Blues Museum. Joe Max Higgins, CEO of Golden Triangle Development Link, coming your way as well. SuperTalk Mississippi. This is the Gallo Show. Richard Cross in for Paul on this Thursday morning as we broadcast live from West Point.